Greetings and welcome. This is Psychic Medium Roberto, and I truly hope you are doing well. May we ask for Spirit's protection and guidance over this reading. I believe we are going ancient as ancient can be. Trigger warning, the subject matter is of a mature nature and deals with historical and ancient events involving ancient portals. So put on your God's protection, whatever works for you. Just don't bring juju shit my way. And we may be coming across some creature features as well. And of course, what I've discovered on this creature thing, we're going to be dealing with serpents, but I believe there are other elements around. All numbers used in the cases pertain to the case context specifically and may not bear resemblance to similar or same numbers you may have in your date of birth. All right, let's rocket ship, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for lending me your ears and eyes. If you're watching the visual, I'm on the thumbnail. If you're not, well, I keep getting that wrong, right? Because I'm a visual person, right? Hence the numbers. And I've been meditating on Egypt. I was being pinged on earlier on in the week. Thank you for that. I must say, just as a preamble in terms of research of events, of course, Egypt and what we know about Egypt and what is all known about Egypt, let's say, and all theories applied. The research for me is a bit sketchy when we go further back in time, which I find unusual if you consider let's say, using hieroglyphics, for example, a level of ingenuity, we might say, a level of sophistication in some way, shape, or form, that the dates and times are, there's a bit of, we'll discover if there's been meddling, because, history is not necessarily controlled by us laymen in contemporary times. Once we start getting closer to contemporary times, I start finding better dates and times, right? So we're off to fucking Egypt, are we? In this episode, I've selected the following events. The discovery of Tutankhamun and his tomb. That was November 4, 1922. Bit of history vibes going on there. We are going to go further back in time. Put on your helmets. All right, put on your snake protection suits. August 10, 30 BC. Here we go, yeah? 30 BC, August 10. Now, here's already some discrepancy in some of the research. Cleopatra, some say August 10, she took her life, as the narrative goes. Some say August 12, 30 BC. So we'll have a look. We'll see the narrative goes, she commits suicide, right? Or she takes her own life with her servants and helpers. And then here we have a picture of Marcus Antonius and the love triangle that we find with Cleopatra and Julius Caesar, is it? We're going to have a look at that. Here's Marcus Antonius, date of birth, January 14, 83 BC. And we got the day that he passes. We'll have a look at that. In episode 2 of all of these portal series, we did have a look at Julius Caesar, but we'll use it here in reference to Was it an unaliving of self? Or was there more behind the current narrative? And I think that's what we're going to do in this episode. What is this here? Okay, so I did find additional dates, but it brought us too much closer to contemporary. So we'll have a look. Let's see how we go. All right, so we go into the discovery, right? November 4, 1922. On the surface, what do we see? Let's just point out 1922 brings out the 14.5 with a combination of the 11.2 and the 4. We find a 15.6 can speak about esophagus. So we have an esophagus here. 29.11.2, interesting. I did read some text to say at the time of his passing, I believe he was 18, Tutankhamun, 18. And he's assigned, or the chambers and however they prepared everything and all protocols observed, all respect reserved, wasn't ready at the time of his passing, and they put him in some kind of, well, it looks like it will fit. All right, so let's see what we have here. 11.2. All right, so based on the theme of the series, we do find a portal sequence. The portal sequence, now this is in the real of discovery, and if I pick up any ancient elements, I'll bring in. So in the intention, we find an 18.9 in the middle of the day, preceded by a 7. Okay. I haven't done too much. Intuitive Sundays, I tap in. I've been warned. I can tell you the energy is quite thick, tense. In some aspects of the reading coming up, if I tap into some elements, something's vacant or missing. Perhaps that's because the narrative is wrong, or maybe I'm not feeling it right. Okay, so what do we got here? We got a portal sequence of 5s here. Huh? Now we'll compare throughout everyone's sequence of numbers if we pick up a general theme as well. In the aspect of, let's say, archaeology, digging, earth, discovery, we can say all these 14.5s brings in elements of earth, 4, 5, discovery. So in essence, we can say something is factual about this, that this is real, that the film department at the university didn't create some kind of prop that they get this guy, Howard Carter, to dig up and find, right? So there's some authenticity here. The 32.5 always remains, for me, a destructive number. So we can say, well, after like 3,300 years, he ain't going to be looking pretty still, right? So there's been some destruction, natural. Well, is it natural? Well, there is some elements of destruction around it. So in other words, we may have lost some information based off erosion over time, right? So in the +6, so we got a 10.1. So whoever. All right. So let me try to explain what I'm saying. Howard Carter, now I don't know the history about this guy at all. I don't know anything, right? I'm just looking at numbers. I didn't research who he is, what he is, blah, 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 blah. But what I'm picking up in the numbers, and one can say obviously, but there's a backing behind him to do this whole operation. 10.1. We can say government, money. There's definitely money. However, what is happening here on this day is not appeasing everyone. Remember, the three speak about community. So this is on the day that he digs, or they discover as the official date, right? So outwardly, on the photographs and the press and government, everyone's smiling because it's a major discovery. The final king of that dynasty. But hidden, we have a community that is in distress. Because, let's say, for example, and I don't know this to be the fact, but we can say, if a king is buried, he must remain buried. Humans now want to come and investigate and disrupt the let's say, the essence of the burial rituals of kings of that time, pharaohs. So that community, one can say the out and out ultras. What's the other word which is better suited would be the, I'll get the word, but the authentic side of life, right? So if he's buried, he must remain buried. So in the action, outcome, 35-8, 26-8, 17-8, 8. Antiquity comes through 8, antiquity. Discovery, yes. So something here doesn't feel right for me. 8 can bring around things like engineering. I will just say the reason why I had a moment there is the energy of Cleopatra, I feel, is quite strong around. So why do these 8s bother me? Antiquity, jewelry, artifacts. But surely that's not the purpose of the dig, right? Let's get the gold. We'll melt the fucking gold and we go sell it there at Yusuf, at the corner gold and ring store. So something's not completely, for me, is what I'm feeling. So in the +9, 13-4, okay, let me just, okay, so 13-4, we can find, this deals more with documents, not necessarily, well, 4's earth, so 13-4 for me is also problematic here. It doesn't fit the situation. Okay, so then we find the 15-6 hidden 24-6. So one can argue and say, well, the hidden 24-6, because, based on the Vampiri threads, we are looking for the family. I'm going to flag it here. I didn't realize this before. Let's also keep something in mind. So we have a potential 24-6 here as well. But we can also say the 24-6 represents the Tutankhamun, the family lineage. We won't go to tinfoil just yet, but so we got two sequence of numbers that are problematic here in the analysis here. What I did want to say now, when we're dealing with serpents and snakes, let's say snakes, the number 6 is the snake. So what I'm saying, ultimately, only when we get to the +6, we get the first hint of a 6. I'm not discounting the 15-6 in the day of the event, but I'm looking behind the scenes. The first time we see a 6, which represents serpent, is 26-8 in the +6 outcome. And there's 11s around, which brings a little bit of uncertainty, doubt. I'm not going to discount the legal aspects of everything, right? The universal law, let's say, for pharaohs is don't dig up the fucking king. Otherwise, you know how, what's it, Raiders of the Lost Ark and all the bullshit theories that people were attacked by spirits and all sorts of shit, right? So the first hint of serpents is in the +6. Now, when we come round to the +9, all is revealed in conjunction with the 3811-2. Now, there's 3 here. 3. What are the 3 things? If we take it literally. Now, this is what I'm getting to. The 11-2 means something else as well. The 11-2 can be 2 people in this thing, or there's 2 parts of something in this esophagus. I'm just speaking blankly. I know I don't mean to offend the purists is the word I was looking for. The purists. Forgive my historical archaeological professor. He's still sleeping. I actually did Archaeology 101 for 1 semester. But why is that? So 3811-2 can also bring around issues of, so governments involved. Of course, Howard and his team is involved. But who's the third party? Okay, so we're picking up things. Then there's some kind of agreement here, 2911-2. Now that 2911-2 is present on the day, so we're not reinventing the wheel. But it's revealed now there's other people behind the scenes involved in this. I'm not saying it doesn't serve its purpose. How can I judge? You know what I mean? But something's wrong here. Okay, so let's see if we can figure it out. So 20 outcome 2. So 20 outcome 2, so why would there be, okay, so 20 outcome 2 is an outburst, someone, or let's say when Tutankhamun is lifted out of the earth and the seal is broken, the king is revealed to the world. That hidden 21-3 could be, oh my fuck, what is he doing? But there's too many 11-2s not to take them into account. And then one can also ask, is it the authentic, is it really Tutankhamun? And this is why I'm saying, and I was just doing like first level research. I haven't spent days and hours reading the antiquities of Egypt. I would need a whole lifetime just to understand hieroglyphics, right? But in the center of this whole situation, we have a 15-6. On the one hand, the 15-6 can bring around a forgery. It looks like the other guy from across the road type of situation. You know what I mean? I wasn't present at the dig. So let's consider the alternative situation, right? Which is there's a forgery, 15-6, in the open, because now we see it, right? Now remember in the +6, we have a 10-1. Now, 10-1s, the elite, the papyrus kings, whatever you want to call them, they are the ones that are paying. So how do we boost tourism, for example? How do we boost travel? Because ironically, as I was saying that, in the +3, we start with a 7. 7 also means travel, jet setters, tourism. When we look at numbers like 14-5, 23-5, we are addressing international people. we are addressing visitors from foreign countries. It would be for the deep purists, and it would be interesting to note what happened to the economy of Egypt post-November 1922 for the next 10 years, let's say, versus what was going on 10 years before. Because in the +9, why this 13.4 is a problem? Although technically, if it was just a 4, and I looked at this 4 on the actual day, and I thought, okay, Earth. Now, when it's revealed, 13.4 is those scriptwriters that were producing the prop had to come up with a story. So the 8s that bothered me in the +6 as an outcome. So if we stay, okay, I'm getting confirmation after confirmation after confirmation, right? If we stay in the world of theater and film and TV, the show, right? These numbers here, 26.8, 17.8, speak about performances, the show, the rah-rah. And I can say there's some people in the ancient vibes that are pissed off with what has transpired here. I'm feeling the rage, but it's quite a strong motherfucker, so let's not dwell on that too much. My mentor, Vanessa, who I trained with effectively for 3 years, three consecutive years, when I still wet behind the ears but eager, warned me about beware of the Sphinx. Like out of the blue, beware of the Sphinx. Now, so I did. I never delved into Egyptology, the Sphinx. I know, the only thing I know about the Sphinx, and whether it's true or not, is that there's some kind of riddle surrounding the Sphinx in terms of its mystique, and wanting to kind of rites of passage through the Sphinx or whatever, right? If you watch the movie Stargate, the original Stargate back in the 90s, if you watch that one, raw as ever. What a movie. Scared the heebie-jeebies out of me when I watched it the first time. Portals, Stargates. So when we go back to the dig, and we find an 18.9 here. Yes, the messages, they are reminding the public through communication 8, whatever that form of communication may be, about a god 9, Tutankhamun. If we, all right, so now that is just on the day, right? On the day. If we go into the +1, in other words, November 5, because I don't believe the dig would have happened or the reveal would have happened from midnight to sunrise, because then you need electricity to run your film cameras and all that, and your film lights and all that kind of thing. So they would have done it in the daytime, presumably. But anyway, let's go November 5 in the +1, so we encompass a 72-hour scan. We have a 5, right? Because it would be November 5. But in the +9, it would be a 14.5. Bullshit in the air. Bullshit in the air. And more alarming, with that presence of the 14-5, we have triple 14-5, because you'll recall 1922 is a 14-5. And it would bring around 3 14-5s in the first two rows. Chaos is in the air. Chaos is in the air. And let me tell you, okay, put on your helmets, put on your shields. I got some creature feature shit coming down. The 14-5, we're talking demons. 5 is demons, and it's present in all the numbers. We're dealing with demons and serpents here. So one can say, and this is based just on this date here, right? That these stories that when they open this esophagus, whatever it may be, or whatever the situation, because one way or the other, they're not exactly, they're either appeasing the gods or they're not appeasing the gods, right? If we consider the fact that rituals, practices are treated as sacred. So the next day, when all this bullshit is now put in the can and we'll edit a documentary and all that kind of nonsense, we have 14-5s flying around all over the place, if you get my drift. We find in the +9 of +1 days, so in other words, November 5, 30 outcome 3. If you've been watching from the beginning of the series, which was inspired by the vampiri flush in the California hills, we find the hive. But what we also find, perhaps, and it's actually true, perhaps, that disgruntled community. Remember we spoke about 21.3, the hidden disgruntled community, the purists. There's an outcry. So there's definitely chaos going around this thing. Bullshit in the air. Yeah, sorry. But let's not say that is the ultimate answer, but I'm just saying, based on what I'm seeing here, look at the day before. And a footnote before we go there. If it was just 15.6, we say, okay, esophagus. And if all other numbers supported the natural dig, then I'd say, okay, then I'm trying to create a different narrative, because there's no supporting numbers to support the forgery. But we find several numbers supporting the forgery. Let's keep these numbers in mind when we look at the other charts, because there will be, at some point, we'll find where they meet, where the common numbers are. Something's telling me to check something. Oh, okay, so what's just happened is I've been led to look at the +6. Now, backstory, let's just say the spirit of Tutankhamun, right? So, which is represented, now I'm going back to the thumbnail, which is represented by this head bust here, right? He died when he was 18. The bit of text that I read was broken leg and some kind of other injury. Don't quote me. I'm not the historian here. He died at 18. Okay. 18. So the energy I was getting around him and this in the +6 of this discovery, in the +6, we find an outcome 18-9. Murder. And in the +6 of the +1, so that's in the +1, right? So what would be November 5 in the +6, outcome 18-9. In the same +6 of the +1, we find 13-4, child number 13-4. I'm not a child when I'm 18. Okay. Hidden next to the child, 22-4. That can also indicate, apart from a family-involved situation, Tutankhamun, he's a little bit soft, doesn't play with the girls nicely, or boys, or whatever. He's always with the boys, or whatever the story may be. A family decision was made. 22-4. Unfortunately, it also brings around another element, unfortunately. 22-4, if we go finite, so 2, then 2 with an outcome 4. With all these 11 2s around, it does also indicate a splitting of, a separate. It's still the whole. Ultimately, it will always be the whole, but there's half. So there's a feeling that half is missing. I don't know what was discovered. I'm just saying. So yeah, here's confirmation. Let's check. In the +9, so all is revealed in the +1. So the following day, November 5, right? Remember, it starts with a 14-5, right? That is followed by 16-7. Hidden now in the +9, all is revealed. We're in the 72-hour scope. 25-7. So there's an issue between sevens here. The intention of this dig, look what it starts with, a 7. Talking about the gods and the higher beings. Flesh beings. Interesting. We're starting to see that 16-7 could bring around the potential issues of assassination. Because there was an issue. Oh, Tutankhamun doesn't play soccer like the other boys. He's weak. Do you know what I mean? Then revealed in the +9, 39-12-3. The kings and queens of the time, right? All about control. Who will be king? Who's not going to be king? I believe that might be a good segue into Cleopatra. So here we are in a restless place called Egypt. Now, Cleopatra is Cleopatra. We're not going to go too much deep in history. I'm looking at the day of her passing. Her date of birth is also not very clear. This is why, I mean, maybe the boffins and librarians know the exact dates, but I couldn't find them. Enough for or to satisfy me, let's put it that way. But, there's either a day missing, or it's just a year, or it's just a month in the year. I need all the information, right? So Cleopatra, August 10 and August 12 are listed as her passing times. But let's have a look. Look here, August 10. Let's start with the day. August 10. What do we find here? Preceded by a 10-1. 10-1. The elite were after her. 10-1. I don't know too much of the history. I know there was conflict and all sorts of stuff, but I'm going to just give it as the numbers, right? There's an 18-9 in the middle. And by now, if you've been watching the channel for a while, 18-9 is not unaliving yourself. 18-9 is not unaliving yourself. Okay, we'll carry on. Preceded, followed by, beg your pardon, in the outcome of the day. So this is August 10, right? Technically, August 10 to August 12, that's our 72-hour scan as well. But anyway, we'll have a look. We'll appease all dates. 48-12-3, 39-12-3, mass control, government taking control, you conspirator, or whatever the reason was, right? So 3 is feminine, and it's in a 3 portal sequence. But when you're dealing with government, because it starts with a 10-1. See, interesting here again, we find a hidden 30 outcome 3. Hidden 30 outcome 3 hive. Now, now I just feel someone asking. So the narrative goes, she takes poison, right? Or a concoction of cocktail that poison, right? So here hidden, we do find evidence of a chemical bomb, let's say for a layman term. Chemical bomb. So and it can be a combination 3, if we take it literally, makes the whole with an outcome 3. So the problem with 3, it just says toxic. Okay, toxic to the body, right? Okay. In the +3 of that day, interesting, we find a 13-4. So we're starting to find common numbers around Egypt. And I've just been reminded, the outcome on the day itself, August 10, is a 12-3. This 12-3 is also very present around Egypt. So we'll go deeper. +3, August 13. The birds are going outside. 13-4, and yeah, the temperatures are starting to lighten up here a bit here in South Africa. My God. Too many Eskimo pies for my liking. All right, so 13-4 in the +3. Beginnings, new beginnings, taking care of those that aren't part of the 10-1. You're either with the 10-1 or you're out the 10-1, Elon. So again, look here what we find. 12-3 open, 12-3 open, and 21-3. Now this is what I tried to say up front when I started, referring to the dates of it. There's so many different dates, and let's just go visually for those that can see, and I'll also explain something quickly. Just a side note quickly. Knowing what we know about Egypt or the history beyond Egypt, right? The furthest I can go that is legitimate dates, let's say, or confirmed, is 1805. In terms of the constitution. So what I was trying to find is the date of Egypt. What is Egypt's date of birth? Maybe we'll have to go deeper. I doubt in this episode, but maybe a later time. There might be more. We need to look at Egypt anyway. But we start finding common numbers, 12-3 and the hidden 21-3. So you're either in or out here. What community? So the Romans are coming in and the Egyptians are upset, right? Let's say, for example. But hidden in the +3, we find a 33-6 here. Carnage, sacrifice, murder, death. Poison is 6. Poison is 6. Poison is a 6. Let's get confirmation. Serpents are also 6, remember? Were they trying to get rid of the snake people? Was this a purge of the snake people? People of the serpents. Oh, we might have confirmation, yeah? In the +6, now this is like Cleopatra, right? At the top, we start with a 16-7. Are we seeing familiar patterns of behavior when you're dealing with Egyptians, kings, pharaohs, and queens? Assassination is the core of the day. Hostile, yeah. And remember, they didn't have security cameras around these days and security beams, so you don't even know the person's fucking at your throat when you got the blade already, right? Can't lock those concrete doors. Oh, we got thin satin curtains that will protect us from those that want to harm us. In the day, oh, look what we have here. In the action of the day, I'm saying August 10. 15-6. 15-6. Hidden 24-6. Let's remind ourselves where we are in the world. We are currently speaking about 30 BC. 30 BC, right? Let's fast forward to 1922. 12-3, 21-3, 10-1, 15-6, 24-6, 18-9, motherfuckers. We are tapping into a timeline here. What is going on in Cairo? The serpent people, represented with the 6s, are being taken out. Mass murders going on this day, August 16. So there's definitely a purge going on here. There's a purge. That we find in the +6 outcome, all these 9. So if you think of Macedonia, the show we did there, Bulgaria, it's the dogs versus the gods, you know what I mean? Yeah, we got gods of war. And just boils down to registered as murder, 18-9, murder. Would it have been honorable in those days, like, for example, the Japanese? If you do your thing, it's honorable. So the payoff is, we're going to take you guys out anyway with this purge, but we'll write in antiquity, in the documents of history, that you did the honorable thing. I don't know, is it the other way around then? But it's been registered here as a murder, 18-9. 16-7 would be suicide. Another calamity with the dates that I found versus the text is Marcus Antonius. Because as far as I understood in one part of text, he had also taken unalived himself, but it wasn't immediate. He was dying through process, but he still insisted on going to see Cleopatra, as far as I understand it. But then there's another text that says something else. Because now, and we're going to still finish Cleopatra, but I'm bringing something in here. Marcus Antonius is registered as August 1. So if he went to go see her and he was still bleeding out, let's be frank, how the hell did he die 10 days before her? See what I'm saying? They're fucking with the dates here. Or someone's playing with the narratives. But it's fine. We've tapped into 2 sequences of Egyptian situation, and we find already a similar matching patterns, sequences of behavior. When Cleopatra supposedly runs off to her dungeon and takes her concoction of kill me, we find at the start of that day 1910-1. Huh? 1910-1. Who was the Roman soldier coming in there with his troops and hoops? There's an operation going on supporting the evidence of mass murder purge. In a portal sequence, naturally, because it happens on a portal sequence, we find the 89 hidden. Now, here's another clue that whoever scripted the text is bullshitting, which means the puppeteers and puppet masters are playing games with our consciousness. Hidden in the +9. 27-9. So there were 2 targeted hits amongst the chaos. So we'll make it look like a spring uprising. Remember that. But we're sending our assassins looking for, and she was still quite young in those days, young Cleopatra, but done so much already. Further confirmation that this was operational at the highest 10-1 level. We find in the +9, 57-12-3, 57. 5, now if we go up the ranking, 5 as an outcome, 5, starting with the 5 is government, as politics, as the 10-1 of the day, Elon Musk. Mass control, the purge of Cleopatra and those that followed her. It was a purge, ladies and gentlemen, a purge. In my humble opinion. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that feels like that's what I have. One day, my mission is that when all is said and done, I want to go back, I want to see what the fuck was going down at certain times in this constructed history. Creating collective consciousness. So I found it, now I'm not the best researcher in the world, but I certainly enjoy researching. I love researching. I'm quite happy to sit in a book for months and work it out or whatever. But when I was doing research around Egypt, and we can agree, yes, Egypt, as far as the narrative goes, is ancient as fuck when we bring in the 17/8. So there is presence of 17/8s around here. Huh? Aliens. Where did I see it? I'll say now. So we see it in the esophagus, but I saw it here as well. So the day before 17/8. There are 17/8s around here. Aliens. They've all been around. And what I picked up in, like, for example, in the case of serpents being taken out, right? That all these different groupings, let's say, for a lack of a better word, species, those hiding under facades, for example. It's like when I picked up with the Kate sequence in December of 2023, still missing. AI and self-portraits couldn't even bungle that even more. That there's a time and place where, you know, and I picked up in that sequence of numbers, particularly with the royal families, and we will find it here, that as much as we see them in public, right, there's 3 times more happening behind the scenes. So in other words, what they feed us as 15/6s, humanoids, sprinkling of here, there, everywhere, that narratives are being pushed, but there's whole different lives and worlds happening behind the scenes. That when the 17/8s come into power in the US, for example, if you didn't know, that we found the 16/7s being flushed out of the hills of California. I'm not in the US, so I don't always get entertainment news or all the latest news. I see what I see, I get what I get, right? But since the beginning of Trump's presidency, right? How dim has the light faded on celebrities, Hollywood, all that shit? And every now and then I picked up now recently in the last 2 or 3 weeks, little sparks of them popping their heads up. Don't forget us, we're still going to come back and fuck you up. You know what I mean? So interesting that we find demon hordes, demons, and because you remember Rome, that's where the conclave of demons are. That we pick up influence of demons here as well. Yeah, oh, look here. Holy shit, I didn't even see this in the real. Cleopatra goes down. So now they say August 12, right? So August 10, August 12. But interesting, in the August 12, here's a 50 outcome 5. 5, 0, outcome 5. What did we find in Rome? And we spoke about this in the previous episode. 50, outcome 5. The demon horde. Okay. The demon horde came in here. Romans, motherfuckers. Took out the serpent people. That's what it was. But on the surface, it was Revidus, Clerius, Cadudarus from Roman Preparus, coming to take on Cleopatra and all her cohorts, etc. Meanwhile, in the background, we got to clean out some hives. There's other things coming into power we find in Egypt. I hope I didn't drink the wrong juice this morning, because that would be one hell of a story. Thank you for your eyes and ears. Fuck Caesar. Bye for now.